Welcome to ComfortTV.channel news, bringing you verified and balanced news from Nigeria and around the world. My name is Faith Kevin. Thank you for joining us this morning. In headlines, PDP crisis deepens as Northwest leaders reject Duraki as consensus candidate. Nnamdi Kanu fails to open defense again as court adjourns until Monday. INEC team begins field assessment ahead of Anambra governorship election. Canada deports Ondo pastor for bribing Nigerian police to declare him wanted for asylum claims. Abia traditional rulers intervene in row between Governor Oti, Deputy Speaker Kalu. 182 new police constables assume duties in Imo State. On business, federal government revenue up 68% to 20.9 trillion naira in 2024. Nigeria's fiscal deficit widens to 13.5 trillion naira in 2024. And on foreign, 12-year-old among 31 nabbed in anti-child porn operation in Malaysia, and people killed as bus burst into flames after crash with motorbike in India. On sports, left footballer Baldock leaves £4 million fortune to baby son after drowning in swimming pool. NBA stars arrested in illegal gambling cases. Now the news. Leaders of the People Democratic Party (PDP) from the Northwest Zone have rejected the reported adoption of former Minister of Special Duties Kabiru Tanimu Turaki as the consensus candidate for the position of national chairman of the party. The decision followed reports that northern PDP stakeholders had endorsed Turaki after a meeting led by Adamawa State Governor Amadu Fintiri. Addressing journalists after a meeting in Abuja, the Northwest PDP leader said the purported endorsement did not represent the collective position of stakeholders from the zone. Speaking on behalf of the group, the party's national organizing secretary Umar Bature accused Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal of acting unilaterally without consulting the leaders. Bature explained that the governor had initially called for a meeting to deliberate on possible candidates for the chairmanship position zone to the Northwest, but later postponed it and went ahead to adopt a candidate on his own. The leaders also questioned the capability of the so-called open contest when a candidate had already been handpicked, describing it as a move that undermines internal democracy within the party. Present at the meeting were Mustapha Lamido, son of former Jigawa State Governor Sule Lamido, 2023 Kaduna State Governorship candidate Isa Ashiru, 2023 Katsina State candidate Garba Lado, and other party leaders from the zone. The disagreement is believed to be linked to the ongoing division between the PDP factions loyal to the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, and those aligned with the acting national chairman, Umar Damagum, ahead of the party's convention. Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, says his witnesses will be coming from all parts of the world, including Ethiopia, Kenya, and the United States. Kanu, who opted to defend himself in the ongoing alleged terrorism trial preferred against him by the federal government, told Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court on Friday in Abuja. When the case was called on Friday, Chief Adeboyega Awomolo-San represented the federal government, and Kanu, who spoke from the dock, announced his appearance for himself. But Kanu said he was not prepared to commence his defense. He told the court that his disengaged lawyers were yet to hand over the case file to him. The IPOB leader then urged the court to adjourn the matter to enable him do the needful. Kanu also told the court that a 3-day weekly visit to him at the Department of State Services DSS facility will no longer be enough for him to prepare his defense, considering the number of his witnesses who would be coming across the world. Responding, Adeboyega said Kanu had had all the time to defend himself since his no-case submission application failed. Besides, the senior lawyer said the court bailiff had been trying to sap the subpoenaed witnesses Kanu listed in his application the summons to appear in court. He said contrary to Kanu's submission, he was not aware that some of the witnesses are coming from parts of the world. Justice Omotosho granted an adjournment for the file to be given to the defendant and granted the application by Kanu that his counsel should have access to him on non-working days for the purpose of the trial. He also ordered the DSS to provide another facility for the IPOB leader and his counsel to meet, adjourning the matter until October 27 for Kanu to open his defense. A four-member delegation from the headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) arrived in Anambra State to assess the Commission's preparedness for the November 8, 2025 governorship election. The delegation, which arrived on Thursday, is led by INEC's National Commissioner in charge of election planning and monitoring, Professor Rhoda Gumas, and includes San Olumekun, the National Commissioner and Chairman of the Information and Voter Education Committee, Dr. Kenneth Okagu, the Supervising Officer for Anambra State, and Dr. Balabila, the Chairman of the Electoral Operations and Logistics Committee. They were received in Awka by the Anambra State Resident Electoral Commissioner Dr. Queen Elizabeth Agwu alongside other senior INEC officials. During an interactive session with journalists, Olumekun said the visit was part of INEC's ongoing field evaluation to ensure comprehensive readiness across all operationals. He added that the visit will feature stakeholder meetings, mock accreditation, and a full review of preparations, all aimed at reassuring the public of INEC's commitment to delivering a credible process. As part of the field activities, the team visited Dunu Kofia, Anambra Central, and Oyi, Anambra North local government areas to inspect the batching of non-sensitive materials and monitor the distribution of permanent voter cards (PVCs) in registration centers at Ugbo and Inteje. After the inspections, the delegation expressed satisfaction with the progress made so far, commending both INEC staff and residents for their cooperation. It also appealed to the voters to remain patient, law-abiding, and orderly as preparations enter their final phase. In the coming days, the delegation is expected to meet with the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security (ICCES), hold discussions with transport unions, and oversee a mock accreditation exercise before rounding off its mission in the state. INEC reaffirmed its dedication to ensuring a peaceful, transparent, and credible electoral process in Anambra. Also speaking, the Anambra Reg, Dr. Agwu assured that all logistics arrangements have been finalized to ensure early deployment of materials to every polling unit, including those in riverine communities. She added that election materials will leave the CBN state headquarters on the afternoon of Thursday, November 6, ensuring that there would be no delay in arrival at polling stations. Dr. Agwu also noted that voters had been adequately sensitized on the voting procedure. Voting will begin at 8:30 a.m. and end at 2:30 p.m. with all eligible voters on the queue by the closing time allowed to cast their ballots, she explained. The INEC delegation is expected to conclude its engagement early next week ahead of the final phase of pre-election logistics in the state. A Canadian federal court has declined to review the asylum denial of Nigerian pastor Lucky Bidemi Olorunfemi, ruling his supporting documents contained evidence of fraud and bribery, infractions that paved the way for his deportation. Justice McHaffey of the federal court in Toronto delivered the ruling on October 16, upholding a decision by the Refugee Protection Division that found Mr. Olorunfemi's materials lacking credibility and bearing signs of being doctored. Mr. Olorunfemi, who claimed to be a pastor at a church in Akure, Ondo State, filed for refugee status in 2023 after relocating to Canada. He claimed that his pro-LGBTQ teachings and tolerance of gay congregants angered Muslim jihadis who sought to take his life. In one instance, he claimed irate Muslims torched his church and chased him to a police station in March 2022. According to Mr. Olorunfemi, the incident led him to go into hiding for a year. It was from there that he processed his visa to flee to Canada. To substantiate his claims, Mr. Olorunfemi submitted 4 documents, but Mr. McHaffey of the Canadian Federal Court questioned their authenticity, asserting they were riddled with errors and bore signs of fraud. The Nigerian national was represented by Abdul Rahman Kadiri in the matter heard in the Toronto court. The documents include a newspaper excerpt reporting the attempt on Mr. Olorunfemi's life, an invitation from the Nigerian police to question him about the incident dated April 2022, his wife's medical report following an attack in June 2024, and a wanted poster issued by the authority of the Oduah People's Congress. But the Refugee Protection Division picked holes in the documents, particularly that the newspaper report was so poorly written and contained blunders that it resembled brown paper journalism. The judge noted that there was no direct link to the story, save for a generic website link. After hearing Mr. Olorunfemi's arguments, Mr. McHaffey sided with the RPD that while Mr. Olorunfemi's arguments were not credible, the only fact that could be established in the case was that he was truly a Nigerian based on his passport and testimony. The judge dismissed Mr. Olorunfemi's request for a review of his asylum denial due to his failure to remain consistent in his testimony and to buttress his application with credible documents. The traditional rulers in Abia State, as the custodians of culture, have stepped in to bring in an end to the ongoing war of words between the governor of the state and the deputy speaker, while appealing to the Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu to apply caution and restrain himself from making statements that may pitch the governor, Dr. Alex Oti, against the people of Abia State, as well as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Ahmed Tinubu. Addressing journalists during a press conference held at the JAAC Hall, Umuahia, the chairman of the Abia State Council of Traditional Rulers, His Royal Majesty Eze Linus Ntomba, who spoke in the company of all the traditional rulers, said the press conference was to address the ongoing war of words between His Excellency, the dear Governor Dr. Alex Chioma Oti, and his brother, Right Honorable Benjamin Okize Kalu, the Deputy Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives. They appealed to Benjamin Kalu to apply caution and restrain from making statements. The traditional rulers also passed a vote of confidence on Governor Alex Oti for what he has achieved within 2 years and a few months in office, and for demonstrating the political will to fix Abia State. 182 newly trained and deployed police constables have assumed duties at the Imo State Command Owerri. They passed out recently from the police training school Nekede Owerri West Local Government Council of the state after successfully completing their basic training. Receiving the officers at the command's premises, the Inspector General of Police IGP Dr. Kayode Adeolunek Betokun, represented by the Imo State Commissioner of Police Aboki Danjuma, charged them to uphold ethical conduct, discipline, and community-oriented policing. He congratulated them for their perseverance during the drilling period, urging them to be law-abiding and exhibit professionalism as they discharge their duties henceforth, including accepting postings to any station the command deploys them to. The IGP directed them to embrace grassroots community-oriented policing, which emphasizes grassroots security and stronger collaboration between the police and members of the public. He warned that the authorities of the police force would not tolerate indiscipline, misconduct, or unethical practices, urging them to be good ambassadors of the force, upholding the core values of integrity, fairness, and service to humanity. Egbetakun assured Imo people that the deployment of new constables to the various units in the 27 local councils of the state will strengthen the security architecture in all nooks and crannies, adding that they would work in partnership with sister security agencies in maintaining peace and public safety. Comfort TV, the channel's news, returns shortly with business, foreign, and sports news. Stay tuned. Many thanks for staying tuned. This is ComfortTV.channel news on business. The federal government's total revenue inflow increased by 68.11% to 20.98 trillion naira in 2024, compared to 12.48 trillion naira recorded in 2023. The Budget Office of the Federation has disclosed in the fourth quarter Q4 2024 budget implementation report. The report, however, noted that the figure was 4.89 trillion naira, 18.92% lower than the 2024 annual budget estimate. Total revenue inflow of the federal government stood at 20.98 trillion naira at the end of December 2024. The report also stated that gross non-oil revenue rose to 16.09 trillion naira in 2024, an increase of 5.29 trillion naira, 48.91%, above the 10.81 trillion naira annual estimate. A breakdown of the non-oil revenue items show that company income tax, value-added tax, electronic money transfer levy (EMTL), and customs contributed to the impressive performance. On the other hand, gross oil revenue stood at 15.07 trillion naira, representing a 4.93 trillion naira, 24.65% decline from the 19.99 trillion naira projected in the 2024 budget. The organization said the figure was 6.71 trillion naira, 80.83% higher than the 8.35 trillion naira realized in 2023. The Budget Office also said the country's total merchandise trade stood at 36.6 billion naira in Q4 2024. According to the report, the figure increased by 68.32% from 21.75 billion naira recorded in the same period of 2023 and 2.2% higher than 35.82 billion naira recorded in Q3 2024. Still on business, Nigeria's fiscal deficit rose sharply to 13.51 trillion naira in 2024, exceeding the government's target and pushing the deficit to GDP ratio above the legal threshold set by the Fiscal Responsibility Act FRA 2007. This is according to the latest budget implementation report released by the Budget Office of the Federation. The report revealed that in the 2024 fiscal framework, the quarterly fiscal deficit was initially projected at 2.29 trillion naira, excluding government-owned enterprises (GOEs) and multilateral or bilateral project-tied loans amounting to 262.98 billion naira. However, actual figures far exceeded this estimate as fiscal pressures mounted during the year. According to the Budget Office, inflows and outflows of funds during the fourth quarter resulted in a deficit of 7.17 trillion naira, a staggering 4.88 trillion naira or 212.68% higher than the prorated budget projection for the period. On the foreign scene, a police operation targeting the distribution of online child sexual abuse material (CSAM) has led to the arrest of 31 suspects, including a 12-year-old boy. Inspector General of Police Datuk Seri Mohammed Khalid Ismail said at a press conference in Bukit Aman on October 24 that the arrests were made during raids conducted nationwide from September 22 to September 30 under the Ops Pedo 2.0 operations. Investigation uncovered over 880,000 digital files containing CSAM and adult pornography, 20 times more than 40,000 files found during Ops Pedo 1.0 in December 2024. He said 29 investigation papers have been opened with 15 cases already brought to court. He says all the suspects are male, aged between 12 and 71, and come from various backgrounds, including teenagers, including teachers, engineers, cooks, students, and retirees. He said one of those arrested, a 17-year-old, recorded profits of about 76,000 RM, which equals $23,408 within 9 months, showing a worrying decline in moral values. He added that 17 suspects have been charged in court, while 14 were released on police bail. Police found that the modus operandi involved in buying and selling of the materials through social media platforms with payments made via e-wallets and QR code banking. He said strict and uncompromising action will be taken against anyone who sells their dignity and endangers the safety of children. Still on foreign, a fire ripped through a bus within minutes early on Friday, trapping dozens of passengers as it sped along a highway near Kurnool district in Andhra Pradesh state. Some people managed to break windows, leap into safety with minor injuries, while others were charged to death. Senior police officials Vikrant Patil said there were 44 passengers on board, most of whom were asleep at the time of the crash. The bus was gutted and the unidentified bike rider also died. The accident occurred in Chinatekuru village near Kurnool, around 130 miles 210 kilometers south of Hyderabad. The bus was traveling between the cities of Hyderabad in Telangana state and Bengaluru in Karnataka state. The motorbike rammed into the speeding bus from behind and became stuck. Mr. Patil said it was dragged for some distance, causing sparks that engulfed the bus's fuel tank. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has offered his condolences to the bereaved families. And on sports, George Baldock, the former Premier League defender, left his £4 million fortune to his baby son after he was found dead in a swimming pool at his Athens home, aged 31. The English-born footballer, who was playing for Greek club Panathinaikos, was discovered after his partner raised the alarm when she was unable to reach him for several hours. A coroner recorded a verdict of accidental death, confirming that no alcohol or drugs were found in his system. Baldock was due to fly back to England just a day after the tragic incident to celebrate his son Brody's first birthday. Probate papers have since revealed that the former Sheffield United star left an estate valued at £5,781,399 before debts, reducing to a net worth of £4,091,000 and £3 million. Having died without a will, Baldock's estate will automatically go to his next of kin. According to court documents, the funds will be managed by his fiancée Annabel Dignam for the use and benefit of minor Brody Baldock until he turns 18. Baldock was born in Buckinghamshire, represented Greece 12 times at the international level, qualifying through his grandmother. He has moved to Greece to continue his club career before his untimely death. In a touching tribute, his fiancée Annabel described him as her soulmate and the perfect dad. Still on sports, NBA's regular season tips off this week. Two high-profile gambling bosses have sent shockwaves through the league. The FBI arrested Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier, former player and coach Damon Jones, and Portland Trail Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups over alleged involvement in two separate illegal gambling operations. According to federal prosecutors, Rozier and Jones are accused of sharing confidential player information such as injury updates with individuals who allegedly placed lucrative bets based on those tips. In one case, Rozier reportedly told an associate he would exit a game early due to injury, prompting the individual to place a prop bet that allegedly earned them hundreds of thousands of dollars. Rozier and the associate then purportedly split the winnings. The indictment further alleges that Jones leaked the injury status of LeBron James before a February 2023 game. Federal officials say bets were placed on teams including the Charlotte Hornets, Portland Trail Blazers, Los Angeles Lakers, and Toronto Raptors, though in a slip-up, one official referred to the Raptors as the Toronto Rangers during a press conference. In a second case, prosecutors claimed a mafia-linked underground poker ring and listed Billups and Jones as celebrity bait to lure wealthy victims. The games were allegedly rigged with X-ray table scanners, hidden cameras in card trays, and a shuffler machine that transmitted information to accomplices backstage. Players involved in the con reportedly used contact lenses and glasses designed to read pre-marked cards, making the setup a high-tech swindle. The FBI said more than 30 people were arrested across 11 states, with losses estimated in tens of millions of dollars. In response, the NBA, which has commercial partnership with FanDuel and DraftKings, announced that Rozier and Billups have been placed on immediate leave pending investigation. Rozier's legal team has described his arrest as a publicity stunt, insisting he will vigorously fight the charges. Jones and Billups have yet to issue statements. And that's our news bulletin, but before we go, here is a recap of our top stories. PDP crisis deepens as Northwest leaders reject Turaki as consensus candidate. Nnamdi Kanu fails to open the fence again as court adjourns until Monday. INEC team begins field assessment ahead of Anambra governorship election. Canada deports Ondo pastor for bribing Nigerian police to declare him wanted for asylum claim. On business, federal government's revenue up 68% to 20.9 trillion naira in 2024. Foreign police say 12-year-old among 31 nabbed in anti-child porn operation in Malaysia. And on sports, late footballer Baldock leaves £4 million fortune to baby son after drowning in swimming pool. Thanks for watching. For breaking news, exclusive interviews and more, follow us online at ComfortTV.channel on all platforms. Remember to like and share our videos, subscribe to our channel and click on the notification bell so you don't miss out on future updates. My name is Faith Kevin. Until next time, stay informed, stay connected.